Hey guys, what's up? It has been a while. Sorry I have been MIA, but I've had some priorities I've had to address, and I was able to complete the Big Sur Marathon this last Sunday. It's a big bucket list item that I got to complete. It was a beautiful race. I really enjoyed it. I got to do it with some really good friends, and yeah, so now I'm back, and we are still talking about squatting. So, when it comes to squatting, lack of mobility is probably one of the biggest reasons why somebody has problems with their squat. Not because I tell them a way to do it, it's because their body just physically can't get into that position. Years and years of sitting or bad habits have produced lack of mobility, tightness in your legs and your back that actually don't allow you to get into a proper squat position. It pulls and tightnesses in many areas, which causes parts of the body to compensate and can lead to a lot of bad problems down the road. So I want to go ahead and quickly address some common problems that I see, and I'll give some really quick fixes that you can do to help get that mobility in place so that you can get into that squat best you can. So the best way, like I left in the last video, for you to get into your proper squat position is just to get a static pole somewhere. Again, this is just an example. You're not going to actually use a stick like this, but be a static pole or a chair, something you can hold on to help you get your balance and just sit into your squat. So get into your deep squat and sit in here. In this position, what you want to be working on is driving your knees out, making sure your arches are intact, your big toes are down, you're driving back, your heels are down, your chest's up, and you want to just sit into your squat position. A squatting position is our natural resting position, so the more comfortable you can get down to that deep squat, the better it will be. You want to be comfortable down that low position. Okay, now that you know that's the best way to gain mobility, just to hold that deep squat, here are some common problems that I see when someone goes into their deep squat. If your heels come up off the ground, that's a problem. That means that you're lacking ankle dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion is the flexion of the ankle. This is plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. So if you lack dorsiflexion, meaning that flexibility of the ankle, it can cause a lot of problems. It means that you can't get deep into your squat, you can't get your weight back, and so you're going to be putting a lot of pressure into your knees. Your heels come up, a lot of pressure in the front of the quads and knees gives you knee problems. So, in order to limit that problem, we want to go ahead and start to create mobility ankles. So I'm going to use this stick as an example of a wall to demonstrate how we want to create better ankle dorsiflexion. So you want to come up against the wall. You want to put all your weight onto your front foot. You want to make sure this front heel stays down. That front heel doesn't move. All that weight's forward, and you drive your knee forward towards that wall. You'll feel a stretch in the back of your Achilles, back of your lower part of your calf there. You drive that forward and slide it back. Drive it forward, slide it back, and your hands are against that wall. Driving forward, sliding back. This isn't a stretch that you hold. I don't want you just so you hold in this position. I want you to actually move. Drive it forward, drive it back. Get both ankles in, making sure that heel stays down. Really work on that ankle dorsiflexion so you can get into that low squat, keeping your heels on the ground. Okay? A second problem that I see is that when we go into the low squat, we have what's called a butt wink. So I have this problem, and I continually work on this. And when we get into the low squat, our hips dip forward in that lowest position, meaning that over time it can create a little bit of shearing and problem in our low back area. And also, if that happens a lot of times when you go into that low squat, your knees collapse in and your arches collapse. You can see how all these problems lead to other compensations of the body, which lead to bigger problems. So you have to be addressing that mobility. So if you have that butt wink or those knees drop in, you want to work on your inner thigh adductors mobility or your groin mobility. So you want to come down on the ground. You want to come into this frog position. Your heels are towards the middle, as wide as you can get. You'll get a groin stretch here. As you can see, I'm pretty tight. If you're more flexible, power to you. Alright, from the side, it looks like this, going wide, heels stay in, as wide as you can get. I want you to come down onto your forearms. You want to keep your back as straight as possible. As you will see, as I go back, you want to push back. So working mobility, so we're working movement. You want to push back as deep as you can. It's recreating that squat movement. My core is in tight. I want to keep my back straight. As you can see, if I go really far back, my hips will tug under. That's because my groin is tight. My hips aren't as mobile as I would like. And so I need to work on this stretch to help me so that I can get into that deep squat without my hips tucking under. So you want to slide back to the point as far as you can and then slide forward. Keep working those inner thighs and that mobility to get deep into that squat so that when you go into that squat, you can stay engaged, you can drive your knees out, you can keep your feet flat in the ground, and hopefully you can keep your back and your hips in the proper position to be able to load and press up. Thirdly, this is the most advanced one, is for the back. I want you to get into that low squat. So again, use that pole, whatever you have, any kind of fortified thing in place to be able to hold your body up and slide back into your squat position so you can lean back comfortably without having to hold yourself up. And then from here, you want to go ahead and lift your chest up, squeeze shoulder blades back, and then work that mid-back mobility by lifting your hands up and back towards the sky, lifting your chest, getting that mobility, because we don't want to be rounded forward. We want to be able to lift our body up. So we're going that mid-back extension. Again, very, very advanced. Last thing you kind of work on as you get into that squat. But you want to work on that ankle mobility. You want to work on that groin mobility, hip mobility, to really start to put that work into getting you into that proper position. It might not just be that you have problems with the squat, it's that you lack the mobility. So really put as much work into the mobility as you do into actually doing the movement of the squat, and it will really pay off in the end. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and hopefully I will have another video for you next week. Alright, take care.